Good afternoon, everyone. Virgo here. It is July 30th, 2019, and I actually wasn't going to make another video today, but a phone call that I just received from someone actually made me take a look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and put the actual link in the description for you guys of this video. This may be going a little bit slow because I'm doing this off the cuff, but I think this is important for us to take a look at because we need to talk about the liens. Let's talk about the liens, everyone. This has to do with Sharon Tracy Gale. This has to do with the Moorish American Consulate Northeast and all of the other Moorish National Republic federal government powers that be that they think they are. And them actually putting out fraudulent information that they're feeding to their followers. Now, one of the reasons why I hadn't actually addressed any of this stuff before was because I wasn't certain exactly where this garbage was being filed, but now I actually am. And I see where there have been case numbers from other cases ripped off and used as the filings to make these look more legitimate for one reason or another. Now, let's just take a look at what is actually on Docket Bird. On Docket Bird, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. This is docketbird.com. This is a court document that has to do with a filing that supposedly went up by Rashawn Allen Judge. Now, the original actual documentation that was filed apparently had all of this crap in it. The original attorney that had to do with this particular case so far has not been able to actually locate anything on this. But as far as what it states online on Docket Bird, we've got USA versus Judge / notice by Rashawn Allen Judge. Now, this notice, okay, let's take a look at it. That's what I've got pulled up over here in its entirety so that we can actually take a look and see what it is. You know all the liens that these people are talking about? Where they claim that they're, filing liens against everybody, including Bill and Melinda Gates and everybody, and they're sending notice to all the governors of every single state and every single country and all this other stuff. This is what we're looking at here. So you see Rashawn Allen's name is down here. This is a cover letter. Tells you notice to agent is notice to the principal. I do not consent to being detained and all of the other garb that you normally hear. We keep going. And we have a blank page, which is, I'm sure, left blank because most court cases have a blank page in between the cover letter and the actual case information. These people love to copy. You'll notice that the stamp is up here with the 45-degree angle signed with a red pen and dated as 9/11/2018. Okay. And this was supposedly filed December 27th, 2018, although I can tell you that the only thing that I can actually find in a case that is like this, and I'm going to let me show you that real quick, are these two things together, both of them only on Docket Bird that I've been able to actually find. And the Docket Bird information that I'm showing to you now is this notice by Rashawn Allen Judge. And then there's a secondary, which is an affidavit, no envelope received over the counter from, piece of documentation, which is apparently a sentencing memo. So I'm not sure exactly what the point was to entering in the same information on both of these pieces of paper, but I'm going to go ahead and go over it with you now because it's really quite interesting. So, for the record, on the record, to be read into the record and let the record show that the Universal Postal Union document number, and it's this number right here, writ of removal with commands to cease, desist, and dispose of all RIM processes against the Moorish Americans with notice of intent to lien and arrest command. Okay, so you remember how we talked about them going into how they want all judges, courts, heads of corporations, bar members, bailiffs, police officers, clerks of court, all of their heirs and everybody else, including the U.S. military and the sheriffs and everything, all like arrested. You remember that? Okay, so this is the document. This is the document. Their claim of delegation of authority, and all of this information with regards to the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Okay, so what I'm trying to get to here is where we've got the documentation that shows that supposedly this piece of paper, that supposedly was a court order, which it was not. I have contacted the South Carolina court. They do not know what I'm talking about. Documentation that was given to them by this individual that was put together with the case, with his case or whatever, has nothing to do with any of this being valid. The funny thing about this is I do believe that this is exactly the same tactic that Sharon is trying to use in order to get herself out of trouble, which of course is not going to work because none of this is actually recognized. Within this documentation, and you can look over here and you'll see under Executive Order of the President from 1933, with regards to the Banking Act, I'm sure is what they're playing with there. Okay, proof of service. So this is what I was going after. All right, here we go. So you see we've got proof of service to everybody for governor of the state of Pennsylvania, governor of the state of, well, you name it, every single state. Everybody in Pennsylvania. We've got the President of the United States is in here. Mike Pompeo is in here. Steve Murr, Jeff Sessions, Colorado Governor's Office. I mean, you name it, they're in here. Literally. Okay, I went through and I actually checked every single one of these numbers right here. Every single one of them show to be delivered within whatever state. So whatever was sent was actually delivered. However, when I picked up the phone and actually started making phone calls this morning, not one single person acknowledged anything having to do with any of this. So whether or not this was the information that was sent, claiming that they wanted all judges and police officers and clerks of court and everybody else arrested and detained on their behalf, whether that was what was in there or whether it was blank sheets of paper that were in there, we'll never know, and neither will the people that follow them, because all that we have is proof of service numbers. Somebody spent a great deal of money in order to make sure that all of these things were sent certified mail. So here we go. And keep in mind, we're talking about a court docket number that is a criminal docket number, CR, criminal docket number, which indeed the case with this Mr. Judge was a criminal case. And the only thing that actually pops up when you look at that number are these two things. That is USA versus Judge. This is not Judge versus USA. This is USA versus Judge, okay? His last name is Judge. So, and then we've got the sentencing memorandum, and we've got the Moorish BS. That's what we've got. All right, so this has been used in Noble L's information on her channel. This has been used on Sharon's channel to try to show that there's been a filing that is going to somehow overthrow the United States and put all of the judges and court clerks and sheriffs and police officers and everybody, take them all off the street and all of their heirs and arrest certain ones and all these other things. And you see all these signatures that are in red. And then here's your postage stamp again with a 45-degree angle signature and the date of 9/11/18. Interesting, isn't it, that this was filed supposedly, the document shows a filing date of 12/27/18, but yet nothing has taken place. Nothing has been heard. All of the claims that are being made are all hearsay. There is absolutely nothing. So Although I know you guys have seen this for years, I know that those of you that generally follow the Virgo Triad channel have seen this for years going on with the Moorish movement, going on with the Sovset movement. They think they can file UCC1s. They think they can make these court filings that are frivolous and fraudulent. Nothing's going to happen. We know what the outcome always ends up being. I can go back to as far back as 1984 and show you how many times that this has happened over and over and over again. Nothing ever works, okay? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is that some of the followers actually pay attention to this video. And the reason for that being that people are being misled into believing that there's something factual about what's going on here, when in reality there is nothing factual. This is the inside of a book with regards to the Peace and Friendship Treaty, which, by the way, nowhere in it does it say anything about the United States being Morocco. I've asked multiple times. Many other people on many other channels that are watchdog channels have asked multiple times. Nobody ever answers the question because it's just simply not there. Okay, so here we are with the financial statement. And then we get into something really weird here. And that is, remember when I showed you that this was with regards to Judge. The last name was Judge. Now all of a sudden we've got a land and commercial lien, a fixture filing land and commercial lien on their documentation, not even with a financial statement number, which is required in order for us to actually look it up and verify it through the Uniform Commercial Code in Pennsylvania or in South Carolina or wherever, because this is a South Carolina case that's on here. All right, now all of a sudden we're going into Sharon Tracy Gale's information. How do you go from one person and claim that this is a court case and go from one person to another person? It makes absolutely no sense. What this is obviously here for is to fool the individuals that they're trying to show, but regardless. So here we go where there's supposedly a form UCC1, which is of course a financial statement, a lien, and they claim, love the brackets, they claim that, this has been sent to the District of Columbia government corporation, which, by the way, it's not, guys. Already been debunked numerous times in Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and the Office of Tax and Revenue, Jeffrey DeWitt in Washington, D.C. And all of these things that, look really impressive to the followers, I'm sure. And then we go down here and we start getting into the actual UCC1 information. And then we look at the debtor's name and we see nothing. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. So for those of you that don't know, because I know there's a lot of people that don't deal with UCC ones every day, what you do with a UCC1 is let's pretend like you own a nice car and you decide you want to sell that car. And the person that's going to buy that car is a family member. And the family member gives you $5,000 down for a car that you're charging $10,000 for. And you say, okay, fine, I will take the $5,000 cash. I will let you drive the car, but you have to I'm going to put a lien against the car. So if you don't make your payments to me and you end up defaulting, then I can say, hey, I've got a lien on this vehicle until it's paid for in full, and that gives me the right to repossess it from you. That is what a UCC1 lien does. That is what it's for. It's used for the purpose of ensuring a lien upon a piece of collateral that is agreed upon by two separate flesh and blood parties, not a person in their straw man. It doesn't work like that. So that way in the event that someone defaults on a loan to you, you have the capability of removing that collateral from them and taking it back and reselling it so that you're not at a total loss. Period. But there is no debtor on here. There is an organization name, which is an address. Does not make any sense. That's not the way it works at all. This would not be admissible in any court, in any state of this nation whatsoever. The mailing address is the same address. City and state, they're saying Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. You know this is Sharon's house, okay? All right, debtor's name, nothing. Organization name, nothing. Individual's surname, nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Just the appellation of Sharon Tracy Gale Bay, who evidently assumed that on her own accord she could file a bogus lien without actually filing it and put a lien on the property that already has a lien holder on it. And I can prove to you that it already has a lien holder on it because she attached the documentation showing it already has a lien holder on it. See, you already have an actual title if you own it outright. And the company that repossessed it now owns it outright. All right, so here we go. All of the information that you see here is all a bunch of garbly-gook. There really isn't anything here that makes any kind of actual sense whatsoever. She's saying that the collateral is held in trust. She's saying that a debtor is a transmitting utility. The debtor is a transmitting utility. She has signed it. She has put her bloody thumbprint. I say bloody. I know it's not. They're just using red ink now. It used to be blood. Back in the 80s, it was blood, guys. Okay, so here we go. So here is the Delaware, Pennsylvania property information. And as you see, Real Estate Growth Fund, LLC is who actually owns this parcel and everything on it. As of September 14th of 2018. This is the same address, 36 North Hardwood Avenue. And as you know, Sharon is not back in her property yet. It does not make one bit of difference that any of this has been filed with the so-called Moorish National Republic, because the Moorish National Republic government is not recognized by the United States government. This is not Morocco. And no matter how much you want to believe that it is Morocco, it simply isn't. But then we have this other little issue that I want to address. And the issue that I want to address is why anyone would assume that it would be okay with attorneys' names and an actual criminal court case docket number to combine the two. Because don't you think that the attorney who tried the original case might stumble upon something like this and not want to be involved in what would be considered an extremist movement? Something to think about, guys. I wanted to address this because no matter how official you might think something looks, pick up the phone and make some phone calls. Anytime you're dealing with anything that's online that has to do with the group called the Moorish, pick up the phone. Contact the court that the documents are supposed to be in. Contact the attorneys that the documentation was supposed to be drafted by. Read through the documentation, no matter how long it is, before you buy that any of this is reality. Because I promise you, it isn't. All right, you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.